Hello, my name is Peter Wasowski. I am the co-founder, chief executive officer, and a chief technology officer at Vasper Systems. Vasper is all about imitating nature to optimize and balance hormone levels. So we need to distinguish between two types of hormones. One is the artificial hormone called exogenous hormone that comes from outside. You may have heard the term bioidentical. There is no such thing, that's a marketing term. And then the hormone that we produce in our own brain, specifically in the pituitary gland, which is endogenous or natural growth hormone. Some professional athletes have used the synthetic artificial growth hormone to increase their visual acuity. So for example, you've heard about names like Barry Bonds, A-Rod, and so forth, and those people have successfully used synthetic growth hormone to increase their visual acuity so that small baseball looks like a basketball and it's much easier to hit. Of course, this is not legal, and in many cases, those athletes were never explained the physiological price that they pay for using synthetic hormones. So whenever you use exogenous or artificial hormones, what happens is the brain is flooded with that hormone from outside or artificial hormone, and then the pituitary gland simply goes on strike. It does not need to make your own growth hormone because it has already too much of the synthetic growth hormone. And pituitary gland happens to be your master gland. Pituitary gland sits right here, and all of the downstream effect to testosterone, thyroid, and other hormones that are downstream are regulated by the pituitary gland. So if the pituitary gland stops working, none of these glands receive signals to make hormone. So that simply means that you have to supplement all of these hormones from outside. So a lot of athletes, when they start using synthetic growth hormone, they have no choice but to go to steroids in order to make testosterone. Now, as we age, of course, we start losing bone tissue and muscle tissue, and a lot of aches and pains don't go away anymore, and a lot of those symptoms are known as the normal symptoms of aging. So when you go to a doctor very often, or a medical professional, and they check your hormone levels, most of the time they will probably tell you, hey, this is normal. You're getting old, that's why your hormones are at lower levels, and all of those things happen. That's just normal part of aging. But the truth is, our hormones don't decline because we age. We age because our hormones decline. So you can see there's a significant drop in the hormone levels as we age. And that simply means that we need to do something about our hormone regulation to make a difference here. So we believe that the best pharmacy is inside your body. With Vasper, we basically increase the production of the endogenous of your natural growth hormone. So with increased production of the natural growth hormone, the downstream anabolic effect, not only is it not disrupted, it's actually enhanced, so that you have higher levels of testosterone, higher level of thyroid hormones, and all the hormones that are downstream from the pituitary gland. I think most of you can relate to the fact that when hormonal balance goes out the window, the emotional balance goes with it. In this case, with endogenous or natural hormones, when that production is increased, the hormonal balance is strengthened, which actually does wonderful things for depression and emotional imbalance. It actually very often brings the emotional balance back. So how do we do this? We're basically balancing hormones with Vasper. And we do that by applying active liquid compression to your upper legs and upper arms. Here we are compressing quadricep muscles, which is the largest muscle groups in your body. Those are your brakes. So when we compress the muscle here with liquid compression, what happens is we are preventing removal of lactic acid from the muscle tissue. Not all of it, but quite a bit of it. We're preventing that during exercise protocol. And the higher the concentration of the lactic acid in the muscle tissue, the stronger the feedback to the brain requesting additional growth hormone to rebuild the muscle back to pre-exercise condition. So when we're doing this, you have this person sitting on a chair basically and doing this 21-minute exercise protocol. However, by applying compression, we are basically applying a force multiplier to exercise. So 21 minutes on a bike may be equal to a much longer, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of intense workout as far as the benefit or the effect. So most of the benefit comes from the legs, from the quads, and the rest from the arms. Now, the second scientific principle behind Vasper has to do with temperature control. So what happens when we normally going through a conventional exercise protocol? All of that has to do with sweating. Your body gets warmer, and the only way to cool the body down is to sweat, which means that tremendous amount of blood has to go to the surface of the skin to push the sweat through the pores, and through this evaporative cooling, the body naturally lowers the temperature. And each one of us has a very specific amount of blood on board, and that happens to be 8% of your body weight. So if you're looking at a 100-pound person, there's 8 pounds of blood inside. If that person is exercising with intensity, tremendous amount of that blood goes to the surface of the skin, which means you don't have enough blood at the muscle level to remove the lactic acid. And this is exactly why we have sore muscles after intense exercise. So that's one negative of conventional exercise. The other one is that, of course, blood is mostly water. So you can all relate to what happens when you heat water. You can actually see the oxygen coming out of it, and the water will evaporate. So the same thing on a different scale happens with the bloodstream. The warmer the blood is, the more blood oxygen it releases. And blood oxygen is basically the fuel for the muscle tissue. So the more blood oxygen you lose, the quicker you'll reach what's known as VO2 max, when you can no longer metabolize oxygen and you can no longer perform. Losing the blood from the muscle tissue is one negative of conventional exercise, and losing the blood oxygen is the second important negative of conventional exercise. So when you are on Vasper, what's happening is we're actually cooling you with active liquid cooling. So the compression areas are cooled. You're barefoot on pedals that are made out of brass. So your feet are being cooled. Your neck is being cooled. Your back of your chest and the back of your pelvis is being cooled. The idea is to prevent sweating. The idea is not to lower your body temperature, but to maintain it at normal levels. So when that happens, you don't sweat, so all of the blood is at the muscle level. You don't need to have any blood shunted to the skin because you're not sweating. Immediately after Vasper, you never have sore muscles because there is enough blood to remove all the lactic acid. But again, even more importantly, because you're not sweating, the blood temperature is at a normal level, which means that the blood actually absorbs and retains more oxygen. So the more oxygen you have, more strength you have. So your VO2 max actually goes forward. And that's why Vasper has been referred to by many people as efficient exercise, very efficient, intelligent exercise. Now, Vasper is designed to be used by any human being, regardless of physical ability or age. So the oldest Vasper user is 97 years old. The youngest is 10 years old. And then we have professional athletes, elite members of military, and anybody in the middle that can also use Vasper. So the software is extremely versatile, and we can adjust and fine-tune software, whether you're a 97-year-old grandmother or 30-year-old professional athlete or anyone else. So that opens up this technology to basically all people. Now, the most important quality of health is sleep. Whenever we sleep well and we wake up after a good night of restful sleep, of course, the day is much, much better. This is a result of pilot trial on 10 soldiers, and we did a baseline hormonal testing before the trial, and after 6 weeks of Vasper, we tested them again. So you can see that the insulin growth factor 1, which is growth hormone over time, increased 14.5%. The testosterone level increased 22.5%. In fact, many people report, especially men report, significant increase in libido after using Vasper for a while. Again, that is due to the testosterone level increase. What really surprised us at this trial is that the nighttime stress hormone is known as cortisol, went down almost 47%. The lower the nighttime cortisol levels, the better the quality of sleep. So by far, the most widely reported benefit of Vasper technology is very significant increase in the quality of sleep. Now, you have possibly heard that when someone over 75 years old falls and breaks a bone, quite often that accident can be a death sentence for a senior person. Simply again, because of the growth hormone levels are so much reduced at older age, it is very difficult for the bone to fuse again and heal. There's quite often infections and so forth. So this is a case of an older woman, 94 years old, who suffered a fall and she broke her ankle. And after the cast came off, after 16 weeks of conventional therapy, there was zero improvement. She could not walk on her own. She could not stand without holding on to the wall. So doctors basically looked at her and had a talk with her and said, look, you're 94 years old. When you fall again, that could be the last day of your life. So what we recommend is that you spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair and you'll be fine. So she refused to listen to them. She came to our facility in Honolulu, and this is a video of her after only 1 month of Vasper. So basically 8 Vasper sessions. Of course, you can see that she does not require to be in a wheelchair. So imagine the increase in the quality of life of this lady who basically had to look forward to staying in a wheelchair for the rest of her life versus this. And she improved her muscle strength by 38% in only 8 Vasper sessions. What is really exciting about working with seniors is that, again, their hormone levels are so low that when we improve their natural endogenous growth hormone, you can see results like that. This is a case report on a young man who was shot in the back in Iraq. And this is him before Vasper. He basically suffered what was known as spinal shock. So the bullet did not sever the spinal cord, but it shocked it. He was paralyzed from his waist down. So you're looking at him after 3 years of very intensive conventional rehabilitation therapy. And there is a significant amount of weight that he gained because he couldn't exercise. You can see that he has upper body strength, but look what happens when he turns sideways. Doctors told him he would never walk again. This is him after 8 months of Vasper with continued physical therapy. So right away we can see that there is a significant weight loss, and that is due to the fact that we got his heart rate up to over 175 beats per minute, something that was not possible when he was in a wheelchair. You can see the difference in the quality of life. He does not require robotic braces. He's walking extremely well. So to summarize, the key Vasper benefits are, number 1, it's accessible for all people regardless of age or physical ability. It's only 21 minutes of low impact exercise with benefits of longer, more intense workout. There's no need to shower afterwards because you don't sweat. And on the improvements, we see improved quality of sleep, improved hormonal and emotional balance, improved libido, improved performance and recovery, improved energy levels, improved mental clarity, and improved overall well-being. So this is what makes our life on the Vasper team so much fun, because we see those results and we don't have to wait weeks or months. We can see them within the first 3 Vasper sessions and definitely after 10 Vasper sessions. Thank you for your attention.